Today, I'm going to answer your questions. What is the best beginner vegan cookbook? Why don't you like mayonnaise? It's not a good answer. What's the deal with nutritional yeast? We are starting to accept pre-orders for our cookbook. So let me just kind of give you my hot take on this. This is a big one, strap in. So some people that are vegetarian vegan tend to be malnourished. So this one's actually more of a comment. If the whole world went vegan, many jobs would be lost and many people would end up homeless because of that one decision. Greetings and welcome to or welcome back to PB with Jay. Here on the channel, we focus on all things plant-based goodness, and it's the beginning of November, and so I thought we would do another mailbag episode. I'm still a little bit backlogged from questions that I had piled up a while back, so I still wasn't good about recording who asked these questions. I promise that I will be better in the future if you enjoy these videos and you want me to keep on making them. This series of videos, you know what I mean? I'm not going anywhere from YouTube in general, just, these answering questions once a month. I'm pretty good in general about responding to all of your comments, but I do know that answering here in this kind of form can be potentially useful for lots of other people. Anyway, don't be shy with your questions, throw them down below. Before we get into those questions though, I'd like to say hello to some of you who've said hello to us in the comments down below. Romy, a whole food plant-based clinical lab tech in Gainsborough, Florida. Audrey from Edinburgh, Scotland. Joshua from the Bronx in New York. Annette from France. Crystal from Philly, who is a pie person. I am also a pie person, and should I ever find myself in Philly, perhaps we can meet up and have pie together. Cindy from Kansas. Sarah from Australia and New Zealand. That's confusing. I'm gonna do split screen here. There you go. Now you're from both. Becky from Fisherville, Virginia. Kelly from Vernon, British Columbia. Susan from Winfield, Pennsylvania. Diane from Greenville, South Carolina. And Teresa from Australia. If you'd like us started here on the channel, all you have to do is say hello to us in the comments down below. Let us know who you are, where you're watching from, and maybe throw a question down there. Or let us know a little tidbit about where you're from. And as I've mentioned before, if you want to bump up on that shoutout list, consider joining us over in our mighty network for that perk, as well as many, many others. All for the price of a crappy cup of coffee a month. To your questions. What's the deal with nutritional yeast? So nutritional yeast, also known as nooch, is something you probably see in a lot of plant-based and vegan recipes. What is it? It's essentially a deactivated yeast that has become a staple in plant-based and vegan cooking. It's typically sold in this kind of flaky or powdery form, and the reason why it's so well loved is because it has this umami-like cheese-esque flavor that it adds to dishes. Here's a quick breakdown of what makes it special. Just gonna reference my notes because I don't have all this memorized. Protein, it contains all 9 essential amino acids, which makes it a complete protein. That's really cool. B vitamins. Many brands are fortified with B12. So those people who tell you you can't get vitamin B12 on a plant-based diet, yeah, you can. Minerals. It's rich in zinc, magnesium, and iron, which, contributes to your overall health. And fiber. It helps support digestion and gut health. Now, how do we use it in flavor and culinary practices? The primary characteristics are like a savory, cheesy, nutty type flavor. I will just straight up sprinkle this stuff on salads or soup. It's definitely one of the main ingredients that I would use in my cheese sauce. It's great on like a tofu scramble, blend it into mashed potatoes or just sprinkle it on top. It's really kind of like a seasoning that you never knew you always wanted. In terms of its health benefits, it supports immunity because it contains beta-glucan. That's what I meant to say. Which is good for your immune system. As I already mentioned, it is a source of vitamin B12. You gotta make sure you're buying the kind that's fortified, otherwise it doesn't have it. And like many other great plant-based products, it has antioxidants. Now, I have heard of some people experiencing sensitivities to nutritional yeast. This is typically because of its high purine content. People that suffer from things like gout, or just if you have yeast allergies in general. Also, some brands have synthetic folic acid, which some people choose to avoid. Basically, when you get this in the store, check the label, see what's in it, and if it is all the things you want to have in it. In my opinion, this is an essential ingredient for any plant-based kitchen. Why don't you like mayonnaise? It's not a good answer. The honest answer is that when I was a little kid, my mom made, I don't even know what kind of sandwich it was. It could have been tuna fish or an egg salad sandwich. And we went on a picnic and we were out in the hot sun and the sandwich is spoiled and I got really sick from it. Some food poisoning. And honestly, I don't know if you've ever been food poisoned before, but one thing that it does is it tricks your body and mind into thinking that food is, just poison in general. And so whenever you have the taste or the smell or anything associated with it, it makes you feel ill. That's your body's way of protecting you from things that will kill you. That's just something that it's good. It's a good thing ultimately, although it's not necessarily true for all foods, especially if it just something like that went bad. So because of that, just in general throughout my life, I just avoided mayonnaise because it just reminded me of that. That said, now that I eat plant-based, I definitely include some mayo-like concoctions inside of my meals, which is essentially like a tofu mixture or a cashew cream or some stuff like that has like some apple cider vinegar or whatnot to make it a little bit tart. I guess I still wouldn't call it mayonnaise though, but it has the same kind of principles. I don't know, mayo was always just gross to me, and I think it's because I got really sick on it when I was a kid. This is a big one, strap in, and I do actually have the name of the person who sent this one. Building Wealth with Erica. Thanks for your question. I'm always conflicted between going completely plant-based or having meat, seafood, and poultry in my diet. I like plant-based, but I do know that many vegetables contain anti-nutrients, but when eating meat, for example, we are fully able to acquire the nutrients. Also, there are a lot of farmers in the 1900s, so bacon and eggs were a staple to their diet, and vegetables were actually used occasionally to give their food flavor. It's hard to believe that vegetables are good for us to eat when most vegetables contain natural pesticides in them to prevent insects from killing their plants, since vegetables do not have seeds. If plants want to prevent insects from eating their plants, why do we eat them? I don't know what that means. Also, some people that are vegetarian vegan tend to be malnourished, and I believe it's due to our bodies not being able to fully take the nutrients said to be in plants. Okay, thank you for sharing your thoughts. I mean, here's the ultimate thing, is like it's really, really good for you to explore what's best for you, and I'm glad that you're considering having a plant-based diet as part of your decision making. And there's a lot of conflicting information out there about plant-based and omnivore diets, so let me just kind of give you my hot take on this. I made some notes, so don't mind me if I reference them. So regarding the anti-nutrients, it is true that plants contain compounds like phthalates and oxalates. But by soaking, cooking, or sprouting, you can really reduce their impact. And also in a previous video I did, which I'll link down below, I talked about foods that go well and don't go well together, and I got into oxalates big time there, so maybe check out that video. Needless to say, there's just those food types, there is a way to make them more bioavailable. Plus, the majority of plant foods contain protective nutrients, so with things like, fiber, antioxidants, and vitamins. And yes, as far as things like poultry and seafood and meat are concerned, they do provide things like vitamin B12, but as I just mentioned, so does nutritional yeast. The idea of vegetables containing natural defenses like pesticides is interesting. It's also interesting that you don't consider all of the things that are pumped into animals in their food and all the things that they have floating around inside of them that is not natural either. So it's really kind of a hypocritical comment to say that plants aren't good for us because of all the crap we spray them in and put them in, because the majority of animal products are the exact same way, if not worse. In terms of the malnutrition, you can be unhealthy no matter what you eat if you don't eat a balance. I've talked about this a lot in many, many, many videos. Making sure that you have a proper amount of protein and carbohydrates and all the other things is what's going to keep you safe and healthy. And the problem with most omnivore diets is they don't include enough fiber, which is really, really crucial as well. And I know that's a really controversial topic that I've gone toe-to-toe with people in the comments about how humans need or don't need fiber. I mean, that's another thing. If you want to get into it, let me know, and maybe I'll deal with that in a future mailbag video. I mean, at the end of the day, here's the thing. It's like, eat what you want to eat. If you strongly believe in any one way of eating, I'm sure you will find someone that supports you online with that way. I like to follow science and facts, and that's why I eat the way I eat. I just wanted to take a second to hijack my own video to let you know that at long last, we are starting to accept pre-orders for our cookbook. It's very exciting. It's very scary. I'm still literally working on it right now, but our plan is to have it out at the end of this month. That's November 2024. So if you're watching this before the end of this month, you can also get it for a special discounted rate. So using the code PBWithJ20, you can get 20% off, but only as a pre-order. If you get it afterwards, you're gonna have to pay full price. We're gonna talk more in depth about our process for this book and whatnot as we get closer to, but it's really a love letter from our family to our audience. It is a family favorites book. It has chapters that are all dedicated to each family member, but also our own favorites. And we're really excited with what we put together. We've had it recipe tested up the wazoo. We've got lots of information in there on swaps. You know, basically, if you're a fan of our cookbook review videos, just know that we've taken a lot of the knowledge we have learned from reading a lot of cookbooks. We reviewed close to 50 at this point, and applied that to our own book. It has been a true labor of love over the last year that we've been working on it. And it's the kind of book that is made by people for people. We don't have a fancy stylist coming in, making the meals and taking the most perfect photographs. I think the photos look great, but know that the photo of the food that you see is the food that I then serve to my family right afterwards. That's how we roll over here. Real food by real people for you. And you can get it for a 20% off discount only for the pre-orders though. So look in the description down below for that pre-order link. And yeah, let us know that you want this book. We're really excited to get it out there. All right, back to your questions. So this one's actually more of a comment that I'm reading for self-serving purposes. This is the only cooking channel that I know of that features the entire family, where the kids add, but at the same time, there's no sense that you're taking advantage of them. This made me feel really, really good to hear. I'll say when I started this channel way back when I was posting infrequently and didn't really know what I was doing, we were avoiding showing the kids and whatnot because we just didn't know if that was gonna be right for them, right for us. And what I'm really happy about is that over time is that they just kind of naturally found their way into our videos as the style of this channel has kind of evolved over time. So I really appreciate the lovely comments you have about everyone in the family. And I even, I take with a grain of salt the comments where people complain about our kids, which you're well within your rights to do so. I complain about my kids too. Generally speaking, the kids kind of have carte blanche to be in a video or not be in a video. We don't pressure them to do so. We've always told them if there comes to a point in time where they don't want to be in the videos anymore, that's totally fine as well, because we want it to be something that is comfortable for them, that they enjoy. If anything, because they're getting older, they're actually more interested in helping to create content for the channel. So we're starting to plan things for the new year, and if you've got any specific content you want regarding anything on the channel, really, let me know, because we'll take that into account, and maybe you'll see some stuff in the new year. A lot of the ideas we get for videos come from me reading the comments and seeing what people are interested in. What is your favorite plant-based milk? Honestly, the answer is it depends on what I'm using it for. When it comes to drinks like a turmeric latte, or if I'm making like a hot cocoa or something like that, where the milk is gonna be like a dominant flavor in it, I like oat. It's really creamy. It's got a nice like body to it. I think that's kind of perfect for that. Cashew is nice there as well. As far as my like all-purpose milk that I like to use for baking, or if I'm putting it on cereal or anything else like that, my favorite milk is actually a pumpkin almond milk. Pumpkin seeds actually have a really, really nice flavor, and when I mix it with almonds, there's just something about it that has like the right amount of fat. And there's just like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's my preference after much testing. And I know what you're asking, where do I find a pumpkin almond milk? The answer is, I don't know if you can find that in a store. The only reason I can make it is because we have a milky plant. You might recall that last year we did a deep dive into the milky plant where I made a bunch of different milks and I had my family taste them. Some they loved, some they did not. Mostly because I was trying to prank them.
Why is it green? Oh my gosh.
But what that did was really give us this wide spectrum of understanding what we can use that our family likes and doesn't like in terms of making our own milk. And that kind of thing is only possible because of a device like a Milky Plant. Since we owned it, it's allowed me to experiment with different milks for different purposes and just different combinations that I know for a fact I could not find at any kind of store. It's also saved us a ton of money. It allows me to make it on the fly using just water and seeds or nuts. And it's really, really good for the environment. And even better, we still have a discount code that is active that I'll post in the link down below. They are not sponsoring this video, but why not? I'll give you a little bit of love to you. And full disclosure, buying it through that link does help out the channel too. And yourself. I don't know. I love our Milky Plant. It is a staple in our house. If the whole world went vegan, many jobs would be lost and many people would end up homeless because of that one decision. That's more of a comment than a question, but yeah, we've kind of addressed this before. I did a video called The Vegan Agenda where I was a bit tongue-in-cheek and dealt with this kind of issue. I'll link to that in the description down below. I made some notes about this one too because I didn't want to miss anything. I mean, it's a valid question, and it does often come up in discussions around large-scale dietary changes because people are just looking for arguments against change. If the world did start shifting on a large scale towards the plant-based way of eating, 100% it would cause a change in the job force. Just like the job force had to change when we started driving automobiles and we started using technology. Just because one thing shifts and disappears doesn't mean it doesn't create new jobs. There would be tons of new job opportunities from plant-based farming, food production, research, and even in the culinary arts. There would be need for innovation in agriculture to grow more diverse crops, manufacturing to develop plant-based products, and even infrastructure to support supply chains and distribution. I mean, we already have those in place, but those jobs wouldn't go away, they'd continue on. So think of it like this, it's not about leaving anyone behind, it's about adapting and evolving, which human beings have done since the beginning of time. There's actually research that shows that plant-based agriculture can actually create more jobs per acre compared to animal agriculture due to the increased labor needed for crop variety and specialized production. So in the end, it could actually lead to a net gain in jobs. That's cool. And it also is, healthier for everyone, better for our planet. Those are good things too. What is the best beginner vegan cookbook? Oh, you want me to choose a favorite? I don't know. I'm looking in my cupboard. There's so many. We've done over 40 cookbook reviews here on the channel, and we don't own them all. Obviously, I get a lot from the library. But wow, it is really hard to choose any particular one. And you know what? I don't know if I'm gonna, because I'd say that answer would change depending on who I'm talking to, if they're comfortable in the kitchen, if they're not comfortable in the kitchen. And we often break these things down in those review videos. In fact, what I will do is I will link in the description down below last year's top 10 cookbook review videos, or at least our top 10 cookbooks that we had that year, because that's going to give you a really good indication of ones that we thought were great, and I explain why and who they would be great for. At the end of December, I'm going to post another top 10 for this year's, so stick around for that because it's coming out soon. And I think what I'm going to do as well, if you want this, let me know in the comments down below, is I think I'm also going to make a top 10 recipes of the year that are a combination of all of our favorite recipes from throughout the cookbooks that we've done in the last year. I think that might be a fun little compilation video that can just really put everything in one place. If that idea sounds good to you and you enjoyed this video, hit that like button so YouTube can share this with other people. And obviously, if you're not subscribed, do so as well. And since you're here, YouTube thinks you want to watch this video. They might be right. Maybe this is our top 10 video. Maybe it's a different one. They picked it specifically for you because you're a unique and lovely snowflake. I'm hoping, I don't know when this is going up, but I hope it's not snowing yet because that's a thing that can happen here in Canada. Do you get snow where you live?